Hello, my name is Nelson, and this tutorial is going to show you how to add a picture to a welcome page that you have created for your Android game app. The page we're going to add the picture to is the page that you see on your screen right now. If you followed my last tutorial, it had 4 parts to it, and when you were done, you had what you see on your screen. This screen comes up before the game does, so it goes from you hit the icon, the screen comes up, and then you go to the game. And it basically just has a title and 2 buttons. And we're going to add a picture in here just to make it aesthetically pleasing. Now, to just make sure the buttons all work, we're going to exit out of this, hit this exit button. We get back to icon page. I know the icon I have is this last one on the left called Kill Them All. I'll click on that, and the page come up as usual. We're going to hit the launch the game button. We're going to turn the volume up, and you hear the background music going. Sound effects. So you can see the sound effects are working. Back arrow back to our regular welcome page, and as you can see, everything works fine. Again, we're just going to add a picture of this just to make it aesthetically pleasing. And the picture we're going to add is this picture here. We're just going to add this picture of a sprite. This is I call my sprite logo, and just make it aesthetically pleasing. Now the goal is to continue on with this and make other tutorials to come up with something like this. To make this not only the welcome page, but a welcome/setup page. And the setup will be you select different options like turning the sound effects on and off and the background on and off, or selecting different versions of the games you like to play with. So now that we know what we're doing, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and launch our Eclipse. Now, as usual, we always start at 0. I always like to start at 0, nothing open. You go to the left hand side to the Project Explorer side, and you're going to go to the project what is called Kill Them All Training. We're going to expand that, and we're going to go down just for fun. Look at the SRC folder. Now expand the package in there, and as you can see, these are all the files we created to make the game. On my last tutorial of how to make the welcome screen, we created this one here called welcomescreen.java, and that's fine. But we're not going to mess with any of these files. We're going to keep going down to the RES folder. We're going to expand that. When you expand there, you're going to see there's the first folders are called Drawable Dash, and they have HDPI, LDPI, MDPI, and XHDPI. And if you expand the first one here, you'll notice that they have each of them have only one file in it, and it's called IC_launcher.png, which is just the icon to launch the game. As we've seen, the icon is defaulted to what I call the Android man picture, and that's what we have. And we can put this anywhere. We're going to put our picture in one of these files. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to put my picture in this drawable-xhdpi. And you can think of these folders as small, medium, large, and extra large. But really they mean L is supposed to be like small, but that's low density, medium density, H is high density, and XH is extra high density. So my picture, if you could go online, you can see the pixel size of them or the size of the drawing you want to put in these. Mine is actually somewhere probably in high density, but I think mine is going to grow. I mean, that's right at the limit. Mine is going to grow. I got a feeling I'm going to make it bigger later on. So I'm going to put it in this extra high density, so that way I can just say it's in the right place. And the way we're going to do is just cut and paste it. So we're going to do it by going back to my desktop. Now, I already selected the picture, as you can see. I know where it's at. It's here on my desktop. You need to select the picture, put it where you can find it. Now, what we're going to do is copy and paste it into our project. So I'm just going to go down here and copy this. Right-click on it and copy. I'm going to bring up my clips. I'm going to right-click on this XHDPI folder, and I'm going to press paste. And as you can see down here, it has been added. It's the sprite.gif file. It's a picture of that sprite logo that I talked about. And now that's done for that. Now that the system has it, and the reason I could have created a whole new folder, but for me to add it, I'll have to go looking for it. And if I put it in one of these existing folders, especially these XHDPI, when I go on with the process and want to add this picture, it'll be easier to find. The system is going to bring up a box saying, hey, these are one of the pictures you'd like to add. And since I have it in these existing folders, that option would be there. If I create a new folder, it wouldn't be there, and I would have to go browse and find it. So I'm just going to make it easy for myself and put it in this folder that already exists. Now that we've done that, we want to go into the file that holds our welcome page or screen. We're going to go down to the layout. Click that, and right here you see the welcome screen.xml. I'm going to double click that. And there it is. There is our file now in the work area. Now, if you follow my last tutorial, you have already created this file. You know how we create it. We use the form widgets here on the left-hand side, the palette column, to just drag and drop these buttons and this title into it. And we're going to continue on with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a picture. Now, how do we add a picture? You go back to the palette column and you go all the way down to the folder, down from our form widget folder down to the images and media folder. Click on that, expand that. 5 options here. We're going to use the first one called image view. All you're going to do is click and drag it like we did before to my other options. So click and drag that into our box. We're going to make sure it's centered near the top and we're going to let it go. Now, like I said before, a chooser showed up. It's basically saying is I got a bunch of pictures. If you can add in here, is any one of these the ones you would like to use? And of course, we'll scroll down and we'll see that yes, it is. The sprint is there. We click on it, and in preview box over in the right hand side, you see yes, that's our picture. So we click OK, and there it is. It's quite simple. It's in our box, and that's what I mean using putting it in an existing folder made it easier to find. And it's a little low, so we're going to click on it, drag a little higher, and that's about right. We can always change it later, but there it is. That's all it took to get your picture on your welcome page. Now I want to bring your attention to one thing. You notice here in the right hand corner, there's our familiar warning box. And if you look down at the pop-up warning, it says image view 1. And so you know that's what it's called. And it says missing contact description attribute on image. If you see the way they wrote contact description, you know, they didn't have a space in between the two words, and you can assume that's probably a properties of this page. An attribute also tells you it could be a property of the page. So if you look over to the right hand side to the property boxes, well, first you got to make sure you select the pictures so the property boxes have its properties in it. And of course, you know, selecting when you have their familiar resizing box. And if you go to the right hand side, you know the 5th one down, you notice that it says contact description. If you hover over it, it'll tell you something about it, and it'll say contact description defines text that briefly describes content of the view, and then it says string. Right there saying it's just going to be a name, and the string means you have to create a string for that warning to go away. Now you can write plain text, the warning won't go away, and it'll work perfect, but we want to make the warning go away. And as we did before in my last tutorial, we want to create a string by going over to the end of this box and clicking on the small box with the 3 dots in it. And as happens before, our resource chooser shows up and it's a string to create a new string. We know we haven't created a new string on there, and we can tell by option that none of these will do. So we're going to go down here to the new string button and click on it like we did in our last tutorial. And our new string box opens up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put what's going to be displayed on the screen, and we're going to call this the Sprite logo. And then we're going to, what's the name of the string? We're going to call it Sprite logo again. All lowercase and underscore for a space. And there it is. Okay, I spelled that word. And that's what we're going to call it right there. So we'll call it, the value is going to be called Sprite logo, and the name is going to be Sprite underscore logo. And that's it. We'll hit OK. And what happens? We get our chooser again. If we look into the main box, we notice that the Sprite logo has been inserted. So click on that, select it, click OK. And as you can see in our box, the warning sign has disappeared. And if you look into properties, you notice that the Sprite logo string has been inserted. And that's it. Now we're going to see if we can run it and see how it works. Let's go back to the top left hand side. We're going to click the save icon on the bar. And what we're going to do before we start, I always like clicking, I'm going to click on in the Project Explorer, we're going to click the project name, just so I know it's all selected, and we're going to click Run. And we're going to bring up our emulator. It should restart on its own. And the reason why I did click on a project, because I want to make sure the whole project is selected, because if you didn't do that, then sometimes it gets lost. It gives you a little kind of warning box. Nothing big, but just so we don't have to worry about that box. I clicked on the project. Our page did open up, and here it looks good. Looks great to me, and I think we're good to go. That's it. The project works exactly like we want it to do. If we back arrow, we hit our icon to get back in the page. The picture's there, and that's all we want to do this tutorial. And this is all you need, and you're pretty much done. Now, I want to show you a few little things. Go ahead and click on the Eclipse. I just want to show you one thing. If you look at the right-hand side of the work area, you notice you have these little zoom in and zoom out icon. You can zoom in into this picture if you want to get a good look at it, or you can zoom back out. And so whatever size you like to have your work area, I like this size because I can see everything, and I can see everything is proportioned to what I want. So, but if you want, you can get it yours closer. So that's just one thing I wanted you to look at. What I want to talk to you right now is a different way to put strings in these boxes here, or in the property boxes. Instead of just using the property box, this is by far the easiest way, because you go one place, you create the string, and it's being used, and the string is being created. If you ever want to look at all the strings you're using in your program, what you need to do is go to the left-hand side, go into the Project Explorer, and go down to the value folder. And you're going to click on the strings.xml, click on that. And if you notice, you have all your strings that you use so far in your program. And you notice the last one is here. Here's what it's called. Here's the value. And so if you ever want to look at all the strings, what you created and what their values are, you can just come here. There's another thing you can look at. If you look at the bottom part of this and you look at the left-hand side, it has a resource tab. If you click on this resource tab, you bring up, this is more like a graphical user a way of looking at it. They'll show you all your strings and they have string at the end of them, and so that you know they are a string. Here's a button that says add. You can add a string from here, or you can click on a string like right here. Just click on our Sprint logo string, and if you look at the right hand side, you notice that the name is called Sprint logo, and the value, or what's going to be shown on the screen, is going to be Sprint logo. So this is just another way you can add a string. You can look at what they're for, and that's just a FYI. If someone asks you, do you add strings like this, and you can say yes, you know that you could do it this way. But by far the easiest way to do this, because even though you create the string, in another file you have to use the string. Where here you can use the string using the property box and create at the same time, and you only have to worry about doing it one time here, where in the other string XML file you'll have to create it in that file and then go to another file and use it, and this is far more easier. So that's it. This is everything I wanted you to know. It's very simple. It's quite easy. Let's bring that down, bring our emulator up. And this is all I wanted to show you, is that we can create a small logo that could go on our page just for it being aesthetically pleasing. That's it. Thank you for listening. I'm going to, again, continue to add more to this game. Good luck.